The ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Do you make more money, or do you want to make a difference that makes money? Because let me tell you something. Money is not a reward for time. Money is a certificate of impact. If you're out here hustling, grinding, showing up early, staying up later, but you're still struggling, I've got news for you. Money does not flow to effort. Money flows to value, and value comes from solving problems, not small problems, not convenience problems, but big problems. Let me get down. There are people right now making minimum wage cleaning hotel rooms. That's honorable work, but the problem they're solving is small, temporary, low leverage. Then there are people making millions even because they solve problems that affect millions or billions. Amazon solved a problem. I want it fast. I want it cheap. I want it delivered to my door. Apple solved a problem. I want to connect, create, communicate without friction. Tesla solved a problem. I want to drive into the future with a clean conscience. Money follows value, not effort. That's a foundational truth of wealth creation. They see the strength of them, and yet it's one that most people miss completely. We've been conditioned to believe that the harder we work, the more we deserve. We've been taught that long hours equal high income. But if that were true, the people working the hardest would be the wealthiest, and we know that's not how the world works. Think about the people who work backbreaking jobs: construction workers, janitors, factory employees, farm laborers. These are some of the hardest working people on the planet, putting in 12 to 16 hours a day, sweating in the sun, risking injury, using their strength and stamina to get the job done. Now think about the income that kind of effort produces. Most of the time, it barely covers the bills. It's enough to survive, but not to thrive. Now compare that with someone sitting in an air-conditioned office, managing digital assets, flipping businesses, or trading ideas. They may not break a sweat. They might not even work more than a few hours a day. But the money they make in a month or even in a day could be more than what someone else earns in a year. Why? Because the marketplace doesn't reward effort. It rewards value. It rewards results. It rewards solutions to problems. So if you're wondering why your income is stuck, the first question you need to ask isn't how can I work harder? The question is, how can I increase the value I deliver? You see, effort is input, but money is tied to output. It's not about what you put in. It's about what comes out on the other side that actually matters to someone else. People don't pay for sweat, they pay for solutions. People don't reward your grind, they reward their gain. If you want to make more money, stop focusing on the hustle and start focusing on the outcome. What problem are you solving? How deeply does it matter to your audience? What kind of transformation are you offering? And how does it affect someone's life, their business, their family, or their future? That's where value lies. In the transformation, there are people make thousands of dollars helping others lose weight, get out of debt, build confidence, or launch businesses. The common denominator is value and how many hours they spend on their website, not early they get up, not how many YouTube videos they post. It's the value of the result they provide. They see the strength of it's how their work solves a meaningful problem. That's why the money flows. It's also why some people get frustrated when they put in tons of work and see no return. They think they're doing something wrong. But it's not always about doing it, delivering. If the value isn't clear, if the solution isn't powerful, or if the problem you're solving is small or irrelevant, then the money won't come. It's not personal. It's just principle. The world pays those who create meaningful change. Value is perception and performance. It's how people perceive what you offer and whether it performs in a way that justifies the price. If you raise your value, you raise your worth. And when you raise your worth, the market responds, not instantly, but inevitably. Money flows like water, and it flows toward the path of least resistance, toward those who eliminate pain, create clarity, and open doors to freedom. So if your effort isn't producing income, stop increasing the effort. Start increasing the value. Big problems create big opportunities. That's not just a motivational idea. It's a fundamental truth of how the marketplace works. Every major innovation, every disruptive company, every multi-billion-dollar business exists because someone was bold enough to solve a big problem that no one else had solved at scale. If you want to experience exponential growth in your business or income, you need to stop looking for easy wins and start looking for meaningful problems. Too many people spend their time trying to solve safe, surface-level problems. They're helping people save 5 minutes a day or make something slightly more convenient. And while those things might be nice, they don't move the needle. They don't demand high-level thinking or produce high-level results. On the other hand, the people who become massively successful are ones who walk straight into pain. They ask, where is the frustration? Where is the confusion? Where is the need so intense that people are desperate for a solution? That's where opportunity lies, right in the middle of discomfort. Think about the biggest industries in the world. Healthcare solves the problem of sickness. Education solves the problem of ignorance. Technology solves the problem of inefficiency. Logistics solves the problem of delayed access. Everywhere you see a large, painful, persistent problem, You will also see people willing to pay for solutions. Solving big problems is not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to tackle what others avoid. It's about being willing to wrestle with complexity, ambiguity, and risk. The bigger the problem, the fewer people willing to face it. That's what creates scarcity. And scarcity creates value. When you become the person who can simplify the complex or bring order to chaos, the market starts to see you as essential. There's a direct correlation between the problem you solve and the size of the reward you receive. If you help someone save $5 on their grocery bill, that's one level of value. But if you help a company save $5 million in operational inefficiencies, that's a whole different playing field. The problem is bigger, the stakes are higher, and the compensation reflects that. The mistake most people make is trying to avoid problems because they feel overwhelming. But in reality, the size of the problem often mirrors the size of the opportunity behind it. If it's too big for the average person, that means it's wide open for the uncommon person, the one who doesn't shrink back. Big problems are the gateway to big solutions, and big solutions demand big rewards. Every breakthrough starts with a burden. Somebody saw a system that was broken, a process that didn't work, a customer in pain, and they said, there has to be a better way. That one statement can unlock a fortune. Because if you're the person who finds the better way, builds the better model, or delivers the better outcome, you become the source of value that others seek. Big problems don't just create opportunities for money, they create opportunities for purpose. When you solve something meaningful, you build something that lasts. People remember you, they trust you, they come back to you again and again because you didn't just make life easier, you made life a better. That's the power of positioning yourself in front of big problems. Opportunities are not found where everything is running smoothly. They're hidden in places where people are stuck, systems are broken, and solutions are missing. The world doesn't need more convenience, it needs more courage. Those who step into the gap, who take on the challenge others avoid, are the ones who rise above the noise and command the highest levels of income, influence, and impact. Impact determines income. That's not just a phrase, it's a principle. It means that the financial rewards you receive are in direct proportion to the depth and breadth of the change you create in other people's lives. And the more people you help and the more transformation you produce, the more money flows into your life and your business. Income is not about charisma, credentials, or connections. It's about cause and effect. When your actions cause real impact, the effect is income. In today's economy, there is a clear distinction between activity and impact. A lot of people stay busy, working hard, pushing paper, checking boxes, and burning time, but none of that guarantees money. The people who get paid the most are not always the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who create the meaningful outcomes. They change lives, shift trajectories, and solve problems that matter. That's what impact is. It's not noise, it's measurable transformation. You have to start asking yourself, what result do I really produce? What problem do I actually solve? What kind of difference do I make in someone's health, business, mindset, relationships, or finances? Because if you can't point to a clear outcome, then it's no surprise that your income might be stagnant. The market doesn't reward business. It rewards effectiveness. It doesn't care how much you know. It cares how much change you can create. When you raise your impact, you automatically raise your income ceiling. That's because people don't pay for your presence. They pay for their progress. If someone is stuck and you help them get unstuck, that's impact. If they're confused and you bring clarity, that's impact. If they're in pain and you provide relief, that's impact. And the more valuable that shift is to them, the more they're willing to invest in it. There's a reason people will pay $20 for a book, but not about $20,000 for coaching or consulting. The content might overlap, but the delivery and the impact are completely different. One gives information, the other produces transformation. That's the difference that drives pricing power. When your work creates fast, visible, or permanent results, your income can't help but rise with it. Impact is leverage. It multiplies the return on your time, your talent, and your tools. Some people wonder why they can't seem to break through to the next level financially. They've been doing everything right. They've got the website, the funnel, the branding, the social media strategy, but those things by themselves don't make money. They support income, but they don't drive it. What drives income is whether or not what you offer moves the needle in someone's life. If it does, and if that needle moves in a powerful, permanent way, you can charge accordingly. It's not about manipulation. It's about measurement. You need to be able to measure your impact. Can you document how you help someone make more money, restore their marriage, overcome anxiety, or scale their company? Can you prove the value you bring with case studies, testimonials, and real-world results? That's when the game changes, because people don't invest in theory. They invest in outcomes. Your goal should never be to just sell products or services. Your goal should be to deliver change. When you focus on changing lives, solving real problems, and producing undeniable results, you position yourself as invaluable. And in every economy, in every industry, those who are seen as invaluable never have to chase money, because money is drawn to impact like a magnet. When your work truly matters, your income becomes a reflection of the lives you've touched and the futures you've helped shape. Solve problems at scale to earn at scale. That is one of the most powerful truths in business, and it separates who struggle to grow from those who experience explosive financial breakthroughs. Solving a problem for one person is good. Solving that same problem for 10 people is better, but solving that problem for 1,000 or 1,000,000 people, that's where scalability meets profitability. That's where your income starts to multiply instead of add. The most people start out solving problems on a small scale. They help one client at a time, deliver one service at a time, or fulfill one order at a time. That's a great place to begin, but it's not a great place to stay. The problem with staying small is that your income becomes capped by your time and energy. You only have so many hours in a day, so if your revenue depends on one-on work, then you're locked into a limited model. The only way out is to scale the U solution, not the time to solve problems at scale. You need leverage. That leverage can come from systems, technology, content, or teams, but the core idea is this: find a way to deliver your value to more people without needing more of you. If you can solve a problem person through a coaching session, then ask yourself, how could I solve that same problem for 1,000 people through a course, a webinar, a software tool, or a subscription model? The goal is not to dilute the value, but to distribute it efficiently. Scalable problem solving creates exponential income because it separates your earnings from your calendar. Instead of charging by the hour, you start earning by the outcome. And instead of repeating your effort every time, you let your solution work for you over and over again, even while you sleep. That's how people build wealth. They multiply their impact through models that scale. They're not just solving problems, they're building machines that solve problems on autopilot. One of the biggest barriers to scaling is the mindset that believes personal presence equals higher value. That's a trap. Yes, intimacy and potential have their place, but they also have limits. If your goal is to reach more people and serve them well, then you need to remove yourself from being the bottleneck. It's not about being less valuable. It's about making your value more accessible. When you create frameworks, systems, or products that replicate your solution, you extend your reach and increase your earning potential. The most successful entrepreneurs and thought leaders have figured out how to replicate and distribute their solutions. They don't just solve problems. They package, they license them, they automate them, they deliver them at scale. That's why they get paid at a level most people can't even imagine. It's not that they're smarter or more talented. It's that they've created a system that allows their solution to touch thousands or millions of lives without burning them out. Scaling doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you lower the quality of your work. It means you increase the consistency and accessibility of your impact. It means you create systems that allow people to benefit from your solution, whether or not you're in the room. The more people you can serve, the more income you can generate, and the more lives you can change. Scale is not just about money. It's about multiplying your mission and magnifying your message. If you want to move from survival to success and from success to significance, you have to think beyond the individual transaction. You have to think in terms of infrastructure, distribution, and scale. Every time you solve a problem, ask yourself how it can be replicated, automated, or expanded. That's how small ideas turn into big movements. That's how part-time income turns into generational wealth. Stop not chasing problems. That single shift in focus can change your entire financial future. When you chase money, you end up running in circles. You make decisions based on emotion, desperation, and short-term gain. You move from opportunity to opportunity, hoping that one will finally stick. When you chase problems, real painful, urgent problems, you position yourself for long-term success because problems are the gateway to purpose, profit, and power. Money is never the root. It's always the fruit. The root is value, and value grows out of the soil of problem solving. The people who build wealth are not chasing dollar signs. They're chasing impact. They're looking for areas of frustration, pain, or confusion. They're identifying what people struggle with consistently and figuring out how to eliminate or reduce that struggle in a way that feels meaningful. The money shows up as a byproduct of that clarity and contribution. The mistake many entrepreneurs and professionals make is obsessing over how to make more money. They think the answer is in better marketing, more followers, or a slicker brand. But if what you're offering isn't solving a meaningful problem, none of that matters. People don't spend their hard-earned money on something because it looks good. They spend it because it helps them feel better, live better, or become better. So the question becomes, what problem are you chasing and how deeply do you understand it? The better you understand a problem, the better you can serve the people experiencing it. That understanding builds trust. It creates connection. It positions you as someone who gets right, not just intellectually, but emotionally. And people don't pay for information. They pay for transformation. They see the strength and they pay for the guide who can walk them out of the darkness stuck in. When you stop chasing money and start chasing the problems people are desperate to solve, you become that guide. Chasing problems forces you to listen more closely, research more deeply, and innovate more intentionally. You stop copying what others are doing and start carving out your own lane. You begin asking different questions. So They see the strength of what keeps people awake at night. What are they afraid to admit? What are they frustrated but feel powerless to change? Those questions are not just strategic. They're sacred. Because when you find the answer and deliver it with excellence, you earn influence, loyalty, and income. There's no shortage of problems in the world. Every industry is full of gaps. Every market has inefficiencies. Every community has needs. Whether it's helping people save time, heal trauma, grow businesses, lose weight, build confidence, or find clarity, there's an ocean of opportunities in the problems that surround us. But most people don't want to look at problems. They avoid them. They see them as barriers, not bridges. But if you can become the person who runs toward problems instead of away from them, you gain an edge that most people never develop. Chasing problems also gives your work more meaning. It's no longer just about making sales. It's about making a difference. And when your work becomes meaningful, you tap into a level of motivation and energy that can't be faked. You're not selling out of pressure, you're serving out of purpose. And that kind of alignment is magnetic. People sense it, they trust it, and they invest in it not because you're selling, but because you're solving. The greatest opportunities in life and business are hidden behind problems most people ignore. They're wrapped in discomfort and disguised as inconvenience. But if you have the courage to pursue them, study them, and solve them, the strength of the money you were chasing will start chasing you, because the market doesn't pay the person who wants to get rich. It pays the person who wants to help. The bigger the problem you chase, the greater the value you bring, and the more the marketplace rewards you. Not transformation, not transaction builds wealth. That's a fundamental truth that separates short-term earners from long-term legacy builders. A transaction is a moment, a single point of exchange where money changes hands. It's quick, they see the simple, and it's often forgettable. But transformation is a journey. It's a process that changes people. It creates lasting results, emotional shifts, and measurable progress. If you want to build real wealth, they strengthen that you have to go beyond delivering a product or a service. You have to deliver change. People don't invest in products because they want to own more stuff. They invest because they want a different experience of life. They see the strength of they want to feel healthier, freer, more confident, more in control. They want to escape something painful or step into something powerful. If what you're offering doesn't deliver a clear before and after experience, then it's just another transaction in a noisy market. And transactional business models are easily replaced, duplicated, or ignored. But transformation is different. Transformation is sticky. It's emotional. It creates loyalty, trust, and word of mouth momentum. When someone experiences real change through what you offer, they become more than a buyer. They become an advocate. They don't just remember the product. They remember how it made them feel, how it shifted their beliefs, how it improved their circumstances. That kind of impact becomes your reputation, and reputation compounds into wealth over time. Too many people are focused on making the sale instead of making a shift. They ask, how can I get someone to buy this? Instead of asking, how can I help this person change? That mindset keeps them stuck in a cycle of chasing leads, lowering prices, and competing on features. But the most successful people in business don't compete on features. They compete on transformation. They charge more because they deliver more, not in volume, but in value, deep, lasting value. When you make transformation your goal, everything about your business changes. Your messaging becomes clearer because you're not selling information, you're selling a future. Your pricing becomes stronger because people pay for outcomes, not effort. Your client retention improves because people stay connected to those who help them grow. And your income becomes more stable because you're not dependent on constant new leads. You're building a community of transformed people who attract others like them. Transformation also requires a higher level of leadership. They see the strength of you have to carefully, you do understand your audience better than they understand themselves. You have to anticipate their resistance, guide them through uncertainty, and hold them accountable to the result they want, even when they feel like quitting. That level of service is rare. That level of leadership is what makes you stand out. It's what moves you from being a vendor to being a visionary. The truth is, anyone can create a product. Anyone can copy a strategy. But transformation cannot be duplicated because it comes from alignment, from experience, and from authenticity. When your story, your skill, and your service come together to create transformation, you become irreplaceable. And irreplaceable people always get paid. If you look at the highest paid coaches, consultants, creators, and entrepreneurs, they are all delivering transformation. Whether it's financial, physical, emotional, or spiritual, they are in the business of change. They're not selling what they do. They're selling what happens when they do it. They're not positioning themselves as providers of things. They're positioning themselves as architects of new realities. The market is saturated with information, but it is starving for transformation. People are tired of surface level promises. They want depth. They want results. They want someone who can walk with them from where they are to where they're trying to go. If you can be that person, if you can create experiences that lead to true transformation, then wealth becomes the natural consequence of your work.